Well, unless there is some major breakthrough this evening, the federal government will partially shut down at 1 minute past midnight tonight.
This hasn't happened in 17 years, and as usual in Washington, it's all about politics. The director of the Marquette Law School poll, Charles Franklin, is with us once again. That's the good part of this. It gives us an opportunity to bring you here. Boy, how would you describe what's going on? Is this dysfunction at its finest?
Well, it's certainly the inability of the two sides to find a way to negotiate through to this, through to a solution. You really have two sides with absolute demands on essentially one issue. Republicans saying there must be some changes to Obamacare, and the president saying no, period. That is not something I'll negotiate on. So as long as both sides are so locked into this, it's not a debate about how much to cut a program or whether to change taxes a little more here or a little more there. Or let me put a bridge into your district. It's instead about absolutes, and that makes it very hard to find a solution.
So this is just an attempt by the Republicans to go after Obamacare.
That is the way this has been framed. You know, some of our previous brinksmanship on the budget has dealt with broader issues of deficit reduction or tax reform or changes at the margins there. But this one is now framed and seemingly being fought over essentially exclusively over Obamacare and whether it'll be implemented as scheduled this January.
But regardless of what happens, it will be implemented, won't it?
It certainly looks like it. I mean,
and funded.
Republicans, the Republicans who are holding out on this believe that they eventually could get something out of it, or at least a political point that they're happy with. Funding is in place, and the irony is if the budget doesn't go through, the funding for this mandated program does go through. So it's not quite where you want to be.
Mitt Romney came out today and said the shutdown is going to hurt Republicans. Who are the winners and losers in all of this?
Well, if we go back to the 95-96 shutdown under Clinton and Republican Congress, in the short term, both of their approval ratings went down during the shutdown. And by the way, it was a long time with 6 days in November and 22 days in December and January. So pretty long shutdown. But it was after the shutdown ended that Clinton saw his previously anemic approval ratings start to rise and rise to the highest levels of all. So it's widely seen that ultimately that was a defeat for Republicans.
Have you done any polling about this? Because some of the recent polling I've read has shown that people have stronger feelings about a government shutdown than they do about Obamacare. So are there political consequences in 2014 because of that?
It's very striking. Obamacare, health care reform more formally, it remains a bit more unpopular than popular, though not by a massive margin. On the other hand, the polling that's just out on this particular issue finds 26% supporting the Republicans' position, 34% supporting the Democrats' position, and 41% supporting the president's position on the shutdown. Even the more conservative polling from the Rasmussen group shows a decline of 8% over the last 2 weeks in support for a shutdown. So I think this is a fluid situation. How it plays out maybe determines where opinion ultimately moves.
Yeah. Congress's approval rate under 10%.
Still quite low.
That's an understatement.
And perhaps not likely to change a lot in the short term.
All right, well, hopefully we'll have some resolution tonight. We'll probably not.
Good to see you, Charles. Thanks for coming in.